All right. Hello, everybody. We are going to be talking about the new moon in Leo today. It was technically yesterday. I'm doing this transmission today on August the 17th. It was, however, yesterday. So it's okay. Like it still has a lot of purpose to get into it today. So let me go ahead and share the visual of this. Hold on one second. Where did it go? Hold, please. Well, I had it up. There it is. Okay, here we go. Apologies. Okay, so this is the main thing that we are looking at right here is this chart in the middle right here. So yesterday we had a new moon at about 5:17 in the morning Eastern Standard Time. Sorry, 5:37 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is what the actual chart looked like on this day. So what we want to look at first and foremost with the new moon is always where's the sun and the moon. They're exactly conjunct one another at 23 degrees of Leo. And then we've got black moon Lilith at 24 degrees of Leo. And we technically do have Venus retrograded 18 degrees of Leo within an active conjunction. So this is big, strong, wild, feminine energy, particularly that is asking us, not really asking, but demanding us to really take responsibility for ourselves and to lean fully into like not being apologetic about who you are as an authentic person and being bold in your self-expression. The reason for that is because, I mean, the sun and the moon in Leo in general are very much tied to things like self-expression, creativity, the bold use of your voice, your art, those things in general. But Black Moon Lilith in Leo really takes it up a notch. Like Black Moon Lilith is the witch archetype in astrology. So she brings about this very like erotic kind of creative energy. She really asks us to like face our fears, face our taboos, and to not be afraid to be seen as like too much. She really does, especially in Leo. She's very bold. She's very dramatic in Leo. And then we have Venus retrograde at 18 degrees. Now, if this wasn't enough as it is, it's almost an exact square to Uranus at 23 degrees of Taurus. So this is a very intense aspect. I personally think that we've been working on this aspect for a very long time, really since about April of 2018. This is a bit of like a checkpoint, in my opinion, where we're really looking at like, you know, what have we already created? You know, it's very much about recognizing that you've been working really hard to all of these different skills and abilities, and then, you know, being able to move into, you know, actually being able to like utilize those skills, right? So, you know, knowing that you have this ability to take leadership over your life. And I've talked to a lot of my students and clients about this aspect. And a lot of what I heard was like, I feel like I'm getting to this place of deep awareness, Uranus, that like I have all of these tools. I've been learning all of these things. I've been going to all these classes. I've been pursuing this awakening and blah, blah, blah. And also now I have to decide to use those tools, right? To not just sit on them and like try to gain more information and not actually apply what I've already learned, but to actually start to change my life, to change my habits, to change my my actual direction into the direction of what feels authentic, and to take leadership over my life, right? So those are some of the like bigger, larger chunks of the energy here. We've also, you know, got Mercury at 19 degrees of Virgo. We've got Mars at 22 degrees of Virgo, which is only a couple degrees away from where but Mercury is about to station retrograde next week. We're already in Venus retrograde. Almost all the planets are retrograde. We just don't have Jupiter and Uranus retrograde yet, but it's normal for there to be a lot of planets retrograde at this time of the year. By the end of the summer, most of the planets are retrograde. What does that mean? It means that it's a time for contemplation. Now, Uranus is going to station retrograde on August the 29th, and Jupiter doesn't station retrograde until later this autumn. So it's stationing a little later than usual, but these are important aspects because Mars is already kind of like leading the way and showing us some of the areas in which we are going to start to need to reflect back on because of the retrograde that's going to happen with Mercury next week. Now, Saturn has already retrograded back to 4 degrees of Pisces. So, you know, we're starting to get into the energy that really started to pick up around about May of this year, because that's where it was at 4 degrees. And then Mars, it's working its way into an exact opposition with Uranus, or sorry, not Uranus, but Neptune retrograde at 27 degrees Pisces. Now, Mars and Neptune in an opposition is not necessarily great. It can bring up sickness, especially when we have aspects to Hygeia going on, which is a further out planetary energy, and then also Mercury retrograde in Virgo. We're talking about health. Now, one of the things that I have been kind of predicting with all of this, especially with Mars, is potentially some sort of COVID reoccurrence, like a surge, because COVID happened during the full moon in Virgo, conjunct Hygeia. Well, we don't have the exact same aspects, but Mercury is going to be stationing retrograde around the same degrees. And also Neptune rules sickness. It can also rule things like illusions, delusions, deception, lies, fake news, deep fakes, things like that. So this is going to be an interesting energy in general, but for people that have strong Virgo placements or late degree Virgo placements, like a Virgo moon or something like that, you need to be careful because you could get sick during this period of time. You really need to take care of your body and go back to what it, you know, how a routine, how a schedule, exercising daily helps you, especially with Mars and Virgo. Mars and Virgo is very much about movement. Really need to burn energy to help from becoming extremely neurotic. I say that because I have Mars in Virgo, right? And Virgo, you know, needs to be able to take action, especially with Mars moving through it. So moving towards your health, making health decisions, doing things that are best for your long-term mental health, body health, all of those things are going to start to kind of like become larger conversations even by next week. Okay, because Mars is going to be moving into its opposition. We've also got Chiron retrograde at 19 degrees of Aries. So, you know, we're not quite in old waters yet, but it is kind of bringing up the old childhood wounds and the concept of self that we all need to pay attention to. And then we've got the sun at 23 degrees of Leo, as well as the moon, which is starting to move into a trine with the North Node in Aries. So what does that mean? It means that like this week, we are being asked to really look to the future, to be brave, like think of Leo, to be brave, to be courageous, to take leadership. It is masculine energy. So it's like to be the father, to be the strong one. And this is very traditional, but Leo's pretty traditional in that way. And that is like, you know, to be someone you can rely on, to be a strong foundation, to lead with the heart. and really and truly to get into your creativity. Like this is a very powerful moon for creating change for long-term stability, both financially because of the Uranus Taurus aspect, and then also like for your dreams, your visions, your hopes for the future. So hopefully that part makes sense. Now, the next piece I want to talk about is going to be the Venus retrograde cazimi that we had earlier this week. So earlier this week, Venus went over the sun backwards. That's what we call a cazimi, and that means in the heart. When a cazimi happens, it means that the planet and the sun go right by each other. And this was a very beautiful aspect. It happened on Sunday. Absolutely beautiful aspect. And this aspect was about clearing the heart. All right, clearing the high heart, resetting, calling in things like forgiveness energy, compassion, like really and truly clearing the high heart from any type of negativity, anger, resentment, jealousy, anything like that. This aspect really brought with it, in my opinion, I think it's one of the most beautiful aspects of the year. It can also bring up like a revision of old things around finances, financial issues, self-esteem issues, and relationship issues. All right. It can bring some really heavy stuff up to the surface. Leo does rule drama. So remember that, like it can be heavy, it can be intense, it can be dramatic, but you have to lead with the heart. And above all, you really have to ask yourself, like, is this in alignment with my heart's truest purpose? And if it is not, then Uranus is here to help with this new moon this week, because Uranus can create change. Another thing that Uranus can do is it can create severance. It can cut us off. It literally is, it rules divorce energy. It cuts things off. So it could be knowing that some sort of relationship needs to be cut off. Some sort of relationship that has been cut off needs to be reset. But it has this very strong enlightenment awareness. And then because all of a sudden you're aware something has to change because of that awareness, we call it the burden of awareness, right? Which means that, you now know you can't go back. One of the conversations I was having with my students in apprenticeship last night was, a snake cannot go back into the skin that it shed. Like I've never seen a snake go back into the skin that it shed. Not for safety, not for warmth, not for anything. It can't. It doesn't fit. It cannot constrict itself and go back into the skin without it just like shredding off. But I've never seen a snake try to go back into a skin that it shed. What the snake instead has to do is recognize that its new skin is very tender and vulnerable, and it does certain things to thicken its skin over time until it sheds it again. So it's similar in that way. And I bring up the snake aspect because Black Moon Lilith is here, and Black Moon Lilith is closely associated with snakes. So, you just want to recognize that this is an opportunity to shed skin that no longer serves you. You cannot go backwards. All right. You once you shed this skin, you can't go back into that skin. So my question to you is, what has come up that that you need to shed? Like, what have you already shed and you keep trying to go back into that skin, right? Like, what is that? And leaning on Uranus to help you to change, to move beyond, to evolve, to grow more aware and more enlightened. Okay. So those are some of the things. The North Node and the South Node are in those late degrees of Aries and Libra, which is this energy of releasing codependency, releasing manipulation, and really learning how to become clear and direct and action-oriented, to not like waffle in indecision as a Libra. That is a real thing, which is paralysis analysis, and to instead decide. Take responsibility and decide. And that is a lot of what we're seeing with Mars in Virgo And also with the sun moving into a trine with the North Node in Aries. It is bravery, it's courage, it's taking the lead. It's not waiting for anybody else. It's not waiting for your friend to go with you to that, fitness class that you're intimidated to go to, but you just can't like get your schedules to line up. It's about being like, you know what? I'm going to just go. I'm just going to go. I'm going to go to this fitness class, even if I'm by myself. Right. So it's really starting to shed codependency and really starting to move into this place of independence, emotionally and intellectually. So those are some of the bigger aspects in regards to that. The signs that are getting really heavily hit right now are going to be Leo and Virgo. Libra too, because of the South Node, especially if you have any late degree Libra aspects, really gnarly stuff right there. Everybody's feeling it for sure. But the North Node is not conjunct Chiron yet. That's when it's going to get really interesting in about 4 months, when the North Node and Chiron are conjunct one another. Right now, it's very much about like the lessons starting to come up and come through. So lots of conversations around relationships, codependency, particularly relationships with Venus retrograde and also the South Node in Libra. This is a prime time to evolve relationships to be better situated, better oriented. With the aspects to Taurus going on here, they have the ability to either be broken down or to have a breakthrough. It really depends on the relationship, right? But there is a level of evolution that all traditional relationships are going through during this Venus retrograde, because Uranus brings with it revolution and change. It's not very traditional at all. It's pretty unconventional. So hopefully that is helpful for you guys in regards to, what's going on. Now, this new moon energy carries for a whole month. All right. So new moons, they really take 6 months until you start to see the fruition of it, because the new moon starts, right? So today we have the new moon, yesterday we had the new moon in Leo. Well, in 6 months from now, it will be Aquarius season. And then we will have the sun opposite the moon, which will be our full moon in Leo. And we call that the quickening moon. It's usually like the first week of February, which is crazy that that's like February 6 months away. But the quickening moon is one of my favorite moons for change and power. It's one of my favorite moons to cast under. But the energy we set under this moon, we will start to see the fruition of it around February of next year, which is good timing, right? Because then we're going to be starting to get set up for the big eclipse in Aries that's going to be here in America. And that's going to be a very, very powerful time. So it's time to start now. What project do you know you need to be brave about? Put your heart into it and push through, right? Like take the action and do the thing. What relationship do you need to take responsibility in or leadership in, right? How can you put your heart forward? And then your finances, right? What's going on with your finances? Can you take responsibility about your finances and start to take action towards getting them to where you want them to be? Your health, your friendships, whatever it is. Leo asks for us to be authentic, brave, and to lead with the heart first. All right. It's very, very interested in loyalty and integrity, but it is the strength card in tarot. So it pulls from the heart space, right? With the energy that's going on, we've also heard that Sekhmet was a very strong energy that came through. I picked up Inanna, but quite a few of my friends have picked up, like the people that work with Mary and Magdalene, picked up Sekhmet this past week. And so you might have her channeling through your work or Bast, but big cat energy for sure. Anytime Leo's going on, we've got big cat energy. All right, fire energy. So hopefully that is helpful in the sense of what's been going on in regards to the energetics. Now, the the thing to do for ritual with this particular new moon is you can make a vision board. You can make a spell jar, like what I've taught you guys how to do before. You can make a new anchor vision for your life. But at the very least, I encourage you to bring fire, the element of fire, into your ritual practice. All right. So I literally just did this with a client, but we're going to do it again. And that is, you're going to be making a spell candle. This is what it's going to look like on the other side. Almost all of you have done a spell candle with me before, and it's also in the Kajabi. It's in Kajabi, so you can watch it there, but we're just going to do a real quick spell work piece. So I just realized I don't have my yellow candle. One second. Okay, so the colors associated with Leo are yellow, orange, red, and gold. I don't have any gold chime candles right now, but any of those four are a good option to work with. If you don't have any of those, white always works. And at the end of the day, like, use what you got. Okay. But these are the colors that I typically work with. Red is closely tied to passion. It is about action and bravery and like moving, right? So it's also closely tied to Aries. Orange is like sacral chakra. So it is creativity. It is joy. It is exuberance. It is abundance. It is optimism. Okay. And yellow is happiness. It's very much like innocence and creativity. It is joy. It is solar plexus, which is your will. So your desire and your will to do something. Okay. So for me, I know that getting like my stuff up on Kajabi, like I plan to do, having my website done, like really making it look good by my birthday is my goal. Like that is the new moon intention that I have, that is by the full moon in Leo. My school website, Wild Spirit School, is like solid. I've got all kinds of pre-recorded classes. I've got a full coaching practice, and I've got, you know, retreats, apprenticeship, and whatever like little programs I'm running on the side. I've got it all housed under the school in a very systematic way, right? That's like my big vision. So I have to turn that into a sigil, right? I have to turn that into some sort of symbol. And what it is for me is the wild spirit symbol. And so I'm going to take that and I'm going to use my knife and I'm going to inscribe that on it. If you don't have a symbol, that's okay. You can write words, right? Like, so on my yellow one, I'm writing clarity. Okay. And on my other one, I'm going to write energy. And then the other one is going to be passion, like alignment, things that I really want to create. Okay. So on this one, it says clarity. And I'm going to take, I particularly with Leo, like to work with honey as the binder. And so for this candle, I'll show you, is I'm going to use honey. Now, I know I've taught you guys this a million times, but I'm going to remind you, when you are doing manifestation work, everything gets rolled towards you. Everything gets pulled towards you. Do not push it away. Okay, pull it towards you. So I'm going to take some of the honey and I'm going to apply it to my candle, moving towards me. I'm taking my finger and I'm working it towards me. All of the energy is being pulled towards me. I'm thinking of clarity coming to me, thinking of a clear mind. Okay. Thinking of sweetness. All right. So my candle is now coated in honey. Now, I just did this with another client and I've got rosemary right here, which is perfect because rosemary does bring clarity, literally. It brings clear mind. So I'm going to use rosemary for this one. All right. So here on my ritual plate, I have rosemary. I'm just going to set it down and then I'm rolling the candle towards me, right? And I'm calling in clarity and focus to get my school on Kajabi complete and running like a well-oiled machine by my birthday in February of 2023. Okay, so now I have this candle and it is going to be ready to burn. Now you guys are gonna have to give me 1 second to go wash my hand because it's covered in rosemary, and then I'm gonna do the other two later, and I'm gonna burn these today actually. But I'm gonna use different herbs on them. So on the red one, I'm going to use probably something like bay leaf or something. And then on the orange, I'm going to use St. John's wort, which is very, very, very closely tied to Leo. Okay, so I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So for this one, I might wax them down and put them like on a platter, you know, like a marble platter. I have one of these and I will just wax them all down like right here and sit and meditate and think about my vision. I may even make a vision board. I have been feeling like Leo rules art. So, you know, it is very normal to have like a drive to want to paint or to make a vision board or to do something crafty. And the candles cannot be left alone. I don't ever encourage candles to be like left alone burning, but especially when they have been rolled with honey and herbs, they will burn way faster. They will burn way weird. You don't know how they're going to burn. So make sure that you are with them as they burn, and you can pull cards, you can journal. You know, one of the big questions that I've been asking people to journal around or pull cards around is like, what are you being asked to let go of, right? What is the skin that you're shedding right now that you can't go back to, right? Like, what is that in your life? You can use your cards to ask that question. But you want to make sure you date it and you just journal like under the new moon, here's what I'm experiencing, right? So for me, I'm like under the new moon, I'm dealing with health issues. And you know, this drive to want to pursue my career, but also feeling my health like really holding me back right now. And so like I'm in that weird push-pull of, you know, really like wanting to work and meet my goals, but then also my body being like, I can't handle that. And so that's something I need to write about, because 6 months from now, I'm going to be looking to pull my journal out to see what was going on under the Leo new moon. And I'm going to be like, oh, I was going through health stuff. And I might see that my health has gotten like way better. I may notice that like, I still don't know what's going on with it, right? So the biggest thing about astrology that I tell my students all the time is you have to understand astrology is a powerful tool for recording cycles. Like that is what it has always been, is recording cycles. It is mostly history with some prediction, but you want to write it down, because what can happen is that we can start to hack our lives. Literally, we can like biohack our lives by looking at what's been coming up under certain influences. All right. So in saying all of that, we are going to go ahead and start to get ready to close out. If you know that you have resistances, things like that's never going to happen for me. Where's my person? The money's never going to happen. I'm not good enough. blah, 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 whatever. Those are called resistances. You want to write down whatever your resistances are, each resistance on a separate piece of paper. And while your candle is burning, take the pieces of paper and you're going to say, I clear, cancel, and delete you. Catch it on fire, set it in your cauldron, let it burn. Next, pick up the next one. Clear, cancel, delete. Burn it, set it in the cauldron. Next. All right. And you could do that literally like every day. Leo season, like the Leo new moon, always puts me, because Virgo season is like my best season. I have my Venus and my Mars in Virgo, and it is like get shit done. Like this is when I typically get a lot of stuff done. And so I really do tend to feel like this late Leo Virgo energy pressed down on me to publish, to create, to do things before I take winter break, you know. So it's a powerful time in that way to reap your blessings. Another thing that you can do during this time of the year that is a fun, and I do it every year, is there are starting, like dead leaves are starting to fall. I picked up my first fallen leaf last week, and I have a big belt, like a mason jar, and every day I pick up one beautiful leaf and I hold it in my hand and I think of something that I'm grateful for, and then I put it in the ball jar. And I'm going to do that every day until Samhain, which is October 31st. And that's the witch's new year. And on that day, I dump all of the leaves of gratitude into the fire and offer it out to the universe and my ancestors as a gift, as a blessing, as a thank you, and an offering. So that might be something that you want to contribute to in your family well line as well. And it's also just a really lovely thing. Gratitude is extremely powerful in seeing a vision come into fruition. It brings our frequency up, and it also allows more things that we're grateful for to come to us even faster. Okay. The other thing is like we'll be in Virgo season next week, is that people start to feel this pull to purge, and that's Virgo season. Decluttering, getting rid of stuff. If you feel that, do it. Okay. Let go of things that don't align anymore. All right. All right, my friends, I hope that this was helpful for you, and I will see you next week. Okay.